The cry hit him first, thin and sharp, like something tearing open the night. The mountain man froze at the edge of the clearing. He did not move for a breath, maybe two, just stared at the small shape twitching in the mud beside a slumped drunk. The baby cried again, louder this time, and he stepped forward before he knew why. "Hey," he muttered, voice low, rough from the cold. "What in the hell happened here?" The drunk didn't stir. His face was half buried in the dirt, one arm stretched out like he'd reached for the child and missed by a mile. The mountain man crouched, unsure, hands hovering in the air. "You hear that?" he said softly. "Your kid's screaming her lungs out." Still nothing. He nudged the man's boot. "Wake up." No response. He pushed harder. "Come on. Wake up." The drunk groaned but did not rise. The baby's cry snapped again and the mountain man flinched. His hands trembled. He hated that. He whispered, "I ain't here to take nothing. Just wake up." Another groan, a drunken mumble, "Nothing real." The mountain man swallowed and looked down at the child. She was tiny, wrapped in a thin blanket soaked through with mud. Her face was red from crying. Her fists opened and closed like she was grabbing at the night itself. "Easy now," he whispered. "Easy." His hands shook harder. Old memories he never invited back crawled up through him. He tried to breathe them down. "Just pick her up," he told himself, but the words felt heavy. He stared at her for a long second, afraid of touching something so breakable. Then she cried again, a sound that felt like it was meant for him. His chest tightened. He slid one hand beneath her, then the other, lifting her slow, steady, as if she might shatter. She was warmer than he expected. Lighter too. She blinked once, then whimpered against his coat. "There you go," he whispered, voice shaking more than his hands. "There you go now." He held her close, trying to shield her from the cold. His heart thudded hard in his chest. The drunk behind him gave a soft snore. The mountain man turned, anger pushing through his fear. "You left her here," he muttered. "Out in the dirt. What kind of man does that?" He nudged the drunk again. "Get up. Look at her." The man didn't move. The mountain man's voice rose. "Get up." The drunk finally grunted and shifted, lifting his head just enough to squint. His eyes were glassy, unfocused. What?" he muttered. "You left your baby in the mud," the mountain man snapped. "You hear me? She was lying right there." The drunk blinked slowly. "Baby." The word fell out of him like he didn't recognize it. The mountain man stared, stunned. "You don't even know what I'm holding, do you?" The drunk's head dropped again, his body sagging back into the mud. He mumbled something faint and useless. The mountain man steadied the crying child against his chest. His voice dropped to a whisper, soft and shaken. "I got you. I got you now." The drunk mumbled awake again behind him, but the mountain man did not let go. The drunk's eyes snapped open with a harsh, broken snarl, like a wounded animal dragged back to waking. The mountain man stiffened. The newborn whimpered against his chest. The drunk pushed himself upright, swaying hard, eyes locking onto the bundle in the mountain man's arms. "Put my kid down," he growled. His voice cracked in the middle, thin with drink. The mountain man tightened his hold. "You can't stand straight," he said quietly. "Sit back down before you fall on her." The drunk staggered to his feet anyway, boots sliding in the mud. "Give her here," he spat. "She's mine." The mountain man stepped back. "You left her in the dirt." "She ain't yours," the drunk barked. "Put her down." The baby let out a sharp cry and the drunk flinched, as if the sound slapped him across the face. He tried to stand taller, but his legs wobbled under him. He jabbed a finger toward the child. "Hand her over. Now." "You don't even know her name," the mountain man said. The drunk blinked. "Her name's," his words drifted off. His brow furrowed like he was digging for something in a fog. Her names, nothing came. The mountain man felt anger burn low inside him. Thought so. The drunk lurched forward. Don't you judge me. I'm judging what I see, the mountain man answered. And what I see is a man who can barely keep his own head up. She's mine, the drunk said again, louder this time, though fear skittered beneath his voice. You don't get to take her. The mountain man stepped aside as the drunk stumbled past him, almost falling headfirst into the mud again. He caught himself on shaking hands, grunting from the impact. He looked up, breathing hard. Give her back. Not like this, the mountain man said. Not while you're like this. The drunk pushed himself up, fury rising. You think you're better than me? That it? The mountain man didn't answer. The baby cried louder and he rocked her gently, instinct taking over before thought. The drunk saw that, and something ugly twisted across his face. You don't touch her like that, he said. You don't get to hold her like she's yours. Someone had to, the mountain man replied. The drunk's breath rattled. His rage deflated for a second, replaced by a tired, fragile fear that made him look older. She needs me, he whispered. She needs her father. Then be a father, the mountain man said. Right now you're not even standing. The drunk tried to take another step but his knee buckled. He dropped to the ground with a heavy thud. Get up, he muttered to himself. Get up. Come on. Get up. The mountain man watched him try and fail, try again and fail harder. The drunk's breath grew ragged. His hands dug into the mud, slipping each time he pushed. Give me my kid, he pleaded, voice breaking. The mountain man shook his head. Not tonight. The drunk blinked through the blur gathering in his eyes. His body sagged, folding in on itself. A long shudder ran through him, from drink or grief or both, and then he collapsed fully, cheeks sinking back into the cold mud. Don't you drop her, he whispered, barely audible. Then his eyes rolled shut again. The mountain man stared at the still form, then at the crying newborn in his arms. They were alone now. Completely alone. The mountain man tightened his coat around the newborn while the father snored behind him, sunk deep into the mud like he had given up on the world. The night felt colder now, sharper around the edges. The baby whimpered and he drew her closer. I know, he whispered. I know. We can't stay here. He looked once at the father. No movement. No chance he was waking soon. The mountain man started down the narrow road, boots sinking in soft dirt. Leaves rustled overhead. You're warmer now, he said to the child. That's good. That's real good. She gave a small cry and he shook his head. No. We ain't going back for him. The world around him felt stretched thin. Too quiet. Too watchful. He kept walking. This road, he muttered, folks don't use it anymore. Not since the sheriff started sniffing around every corner. He glanced over his shoulder on instinct. Nothing but shadows. They like control, he told the newborn. The old families. The law. Everyone with a badge or a big name. A man carries a baby at night and they'll twist it into something ugly before sunrise. She squirmed and he adjusted her against his chest. I don't talk this much, he said. Not usually. Her soft breathing steadied. He kept moving, eyes sharp on the dark path ahead. An abandoned well came into view. The stones around it were cracked, the rope long gone. He stopped beside it. I used to play near one of these, he said quietly. Not here. Somewhere else. Long time ago. He stared at the empty hole. Dangerous thing. You don't look down too long. Past has a way of staring back. The baby whimpered again and he stepped away. Not for you, he whispered. You don't need that. A burned fence post leaned in the road ahead, blackened like lightning had kissed it. He brushed his hand over the charred wood. Fire takes what it wants, he said. His voice thinned. Took something from me once. He paused, throat tight. Someone. The baby whined softly as if asking. He shook his head. Not tonight. You don't need that story. He walked on, his boots crunching over old leaves. The path narrowed, and he noticed boot tracks stamped in the dirt, deep at first, then lighter, then fading into nothing. See that, he murmured. Tracks vanish. People vanish. Sheriff says it's the land swallowing things whole, but I know better. He shifted the baby again. Memory does the swallowing. Land just watches. She settled, making a soft clicking sound with her tongue. You're a tough one, he said. Stronger than you look. A faint glow flickered up ahead. The mountain man stopped. The baby stilled in his arms. Someone's up there, he whispered. The light wavered like a lantern swaying in a slow hand. He felt his pulse climb. I don't like that, he murmured. Too late for good company. He considered turning back, but the road behind felt worse. He took another careful step. Listen, he whispered to the baby. If it's the sheriff, keep real quiet. If it's one of the old families, keep even quieter. The lantern glow brightened, then dimmed, then brightened again, like someone was walking in slow circles. Could be nothing, he said. Could be trouble. The baby let out a tiny sigh. He gripped her closer and moved forward. I'll keep you safe, he said. I swear it. The lantern flickered once more, and he saw the outline of a figure waiting at the bend of the road, still as stone, watching him approach. The lantern swung in the watcher's hand as the mountain man stepped closer, each movement sending a soft circle of light across the dirt. The figure didn't speak at first. He just stood there, shoulders squared, boots planted like he owned the road. When the mountain man was close enough to see the badge glinting on the deputy's chest, his stomach tightened. The deputy raised the lantern a little higher. Stop right there, he said. I said stop. The mountain man stopped. The newborn shifted in his coat. I am just passing through, he said quietly. That's so, the deputy replied. Late night for passing through. The deputy took a slow step forward, lantern light brushing the mountain man's face. Whose kid? He asked. His voice never wavered, just rolled out flat and cold. The mountain man kept his tone steady. Not mine. The deputy snorted. A man like you don't carry babies. The mountain man didn't answer. The newborn let out a soft cry and the deputy's eyes sharpened. You running from something? He asked. No, the mountain man said. Just trying to get her warm. The deputy tilted his head. Strange thing. Her father reported her missing. The mountain man felt the words cut close. She was lying in the dirt, he said. Missing ain't the word for it. The deputy took another step. You accusing someone? He asked. Not yet, the mountain man replied. But you know what happened. The deputy shifted the lantern to his other hand. Let me see her, he said. No, the mountain man replied. She is already scared enough. The deputy smiled, but it wasn't friendly. Law says I can look. The mountain man held the baby tighter. Law can wait. The deputy leaned in, breath smelling of stale coffee. You lying to me, he said. You do not lie well. The mountain man met his stare. I am telling you she was alone. That is the truth. The deputy's voice hardened. Truth comes in two kinds. The kind men believe and the kind they punish. You better choose the right one. The baby whimpered again. The mountain man rocked her carefully. She is cold, he whispered. She needs help. Not questions. The deputy's expression shifted. Something darker crawled across it. Help comes after answers, he said. And I am not done asking. The mountain man felt the road tighten around them, felt the weight of the badge, the night, the silence. Ask then, he said. The deputy's eyes narrowed. Why you carry her, he asked. Why not leave her where she lay? The mountain man swallowed. Because someone had to pick her up. Not your job, the deputy said. Not your mess. The mountain man's jaw tightened. Maybe not. Still did it. The deputy raised the lantern higher and the baby cried louder, sharp and trembling. The sound cut straight through the air and forced both men to pause. The deputy exhaled. She is loud, he muttered. The mountain man nodded. She is scared. The deputy studied him for a long moment. You walk into town with her, he said slowly, they will take her away. The mountain man stared back. From who? He asked. From a drunk who left her to freeze. The deputy shrugged. Law does not care about that. Law cares about order. The mountain man felt the baby's breath against his chest. Then order is broken, he murmured. The deputy lowered the lantern until the shadows stretched long across the road. You keep walking, the deputy said, and they will decide her future for you. He turned away, his lantern swinging once more. Think real hard about where you step next. The mountain man turned away from the deputy without another word, climbing the narrow uphill path with the newborn tucked tight beneath his coat. The deputy's lantern glow faded behind him until it was swallowed by the bend. The only light ahead came from a small flicker halfway up the ridge, a single window glowing in the distance. The baby whined softly and he whispered, I know. Hold on. Almost there. The climb was steep, roots twisting underfoot. He kept one arm around the child and used the other to steady himself on stones slick with moss. Cold night for a little one, he murmured. Colder than I expected. She fussed and he took a slow breath. I am trying. I promise I am. When he reached the top, the old cabin came into view. It hunched in the darkness like it had grown out of the land itself. Only one window glowed. A thin line of smoke drifted from the crooked chimney. He stepped to the door and knocked twice, quiet but firm. A voice snapped from the other side. Who is pounding at this hour? He knocked once more. It is me, he called. I need help. The door opened a crack and a sharp old eye stared through. You look like sin dragged you in, the midwife said. Her voice was rough but steady. She opened the door wider and stepped back. Get inside before you freeze that child. He entered, the warmth of the cabin wrapping around him. The midwife shut the door with a thud. Hold her steady, fool, she said as she shuffled toward him. Let me see what mess you brought. He loosened his coat. The baby cried at the sudden change and the midwife clicked her tongue. Too small for a night like this. Too young for the kind of trouble you smell like. She motioned him toward the small table. Lay her down. The mountain man hesitated. Be gentle, he whispered. The midwife shot him a glare. I have birthed half the valley. I do not need you teaching me gentle. He placed the newborn on the table. The midwife's hands, though old and knotted, moved with surprising precision. She lifted the edge of the blanket, studying the baby's face. She is hungry, she muttered. And cold. And scared. She glanced up. You did not do this to her, did you? The mountain man shook his head. Found her beside her father. Father, the midwife repeated. That man drunk again. Worse, he said. He left her lying in the mud. The midwife snorted. Men like him should be tied to a post and left for the crows. She reached for a small cloth and wiped the baby's cheeks. Poor little thing. This world bites hard. She turned, rummaging through a drawer. Hand me that blanket on the chair. The mountain man grabbed it and froze a moment. The edges were scorched, burned in a pattern like old fire licking at memory. What happened to this? He asked. None of your concern, she replied. Everything that burns leaves a mark. That is all you need to know. She wrapped the baby carefully, humming under her breath. The mountain man watched her, uneasy. She moved like someone who knew things she should not. Her eyes kept flicking to the child's face with a strange recognition. As if she saw more than what was there. He cleared his throat. "She's safe here." The midwife sighed. "Safe is a small word. This child is not safe with the law. But she is not safe with him either." She tightened the blanket, then looked up, her expression grim. "Which means she will not stay untouched by trouble. And neither will you." The midwife placed the baby back into the mountain man's arms with a firmness that surprised him. The newborn squirmed against his chest, tiny breaths brushing his coat. The midwife stepped back, wiping her hands on her apron. "There," she said. "Now hold her like you mean it." He adjusted his grip. "I am holding her." "You are clutching her," she replied. "Big difference." He stared at the baby, then at the midwife. "What now?" She snorted. "Now you talk." "About what?" "About why you walked into my house with a child that ain't yours." He shifted his weight, the floor creaking beneath him. "I told you." "Found her in the dirt." The midwife shook her head. "Not that part. I want the part you did not say." He kept his eyes on the baby. "Nothing else to say." "Liar," she muttered. She moved closer, her voice dropping. "Your hands shook when you lifted her." "Not from cold. From memory." He stiffened. "You do not know me." "I do not need to," she said. "Your silence tells the story." He swallowed, throat tight. "It was a long time ago." "Things men do not say are never long ago," she replied. "They sit in the chest like stones." He lowered his gaze. "I lost someone." The midwife raised a brow. "Who?" He hesitated. The baby gave a soft cry, as if pushing the answer out of him. "My daughter," he whispered. "She did not make it." The midwife watched him carefully. "Sickness." He shook his head. "Fire." She nodded slowly. "Hardest way to lose anything." He exhaled, shoulders sinking. "I could not get to her. I tried. But the smoke was too thick. The heat too strong. By the time I made it through," he stopped, jaw locking. The midwife stepped to the stove, stirring a small pot. "You think holding this baby will fix that?" "No," he whispered. "Then why do you look at her like she is the last thing keeping you upright?" He looked down at the newborn. "Because she was helpless. Same as mine. And I was too late once." The midwife tasted whatever was in the pot and added herbs. "You were not too late tonight." "Feels like I still am," he said. "Her father will come looking. And the sheriff." "Let them," she replied. "Truth is, that child needed anyone except the man who made her." The shadows along the cabin wall flickered, but not from the fire. They leaned in, stretched strange, almost listening. The mountain man felt the hairs rise on his neck. "Your shadows move odd," he said. "Only when truth gets spoken," the midwife replied, not turning around. "This house has heard plenty." He rocked the newborn gently. "She is calm now." "Babies know when arms are honest," the midwife said. She returned to him and handed him a cup. "Drink." He hesitated. "It is tea," she snapped. "Not poison." He sipped, warmth spreading down his throat. "What am I supposed to do?" "Decide," she said simply. "Decide who you are now. The man who lost his child, or the man who saved one." He glanced at her. "I did not save her. I just picked her up." "In this world, that is saving," she said. "You do not see it yet, but you already chose your path." He frowned. "What path?" The midwife pointed at the newborn. "Hers." The words hit him harder than he expected. "I cannot raise a baby." "I did not say you would," she replied. I said you chose her. The moment you lifted her off that ground, something in you shifted. He looked toward the door. The sheriff will not care about any of this. Sheriff cares about the old families, she said. And that father belongs to one of them. The baby stirred and he tightened his hold. Then they will come here. Of course they will, she said calmly. Trouble always finds a crying child. He stared at the newborn, her tiny hand curling against his coat. What if I cannot protect her? The midwife rested a hand on his arm. You already decided, she said softly. You just do not know it yet. The shadows along the wall quivered again as if agreeing. The words were still hanging in the air when the cabin door shook under a heavy knock. Not a polite one. A command. The newborn jolted in the mountain man's arms and let out a startled cry. The midwife's eyes sharpened. There it is, she murmured. Right on time. The knock came again, harder. The mountain man felt his breath freeze. They came fast, he whispered. I told you they would, the midwife said. She moved toward the door slowly, as if measuring the weight of the footsteps outside. Another knock thundered through the walls. Open up, a voice called, low and controlled. The kind of voice used by a man who expected doors to obey him. The mountain man's grip tightened. Sheriff, he whispered. The midwife nodded. Not the deputy this time. The real one. She reached for the door latch but didn't open it. Stand back, she said. He stepped into the corner with the newborn pressed close to his chest. The sheriff knocked once more, slower now. I know you are awake in there, he said. Open the door. The midwife unlatched it and pulled it open. The sheriff filled the doorway. Tall. Broad. Coat hanging heavy from his shoulders. His boots shone even in the dim light, polished like armor. He walked in without waiting for permission. Evening, the midwife said dryly. Not for long, he replied. His eyes swept the room and landed on the mountain man holding the baby. There she is, he said. Hand her over. The mountain man stood still. Why? He asked. Because she was taken, the sheriff said. Her father reported a kidnapping. The mountain man felt heat rise in his chest. Kidnapping, he repeated. She was lying in the mud while he was passed out drunk. The sheriff's face did not change. Still his child. He does not deserve her, the mountain man said. Not tonight. The sheriff stepped forward. Not your decision. The baby began to cry, sensing the tension. The sheriff glanced at her, his expression tightening for a brief second before he blinked it away. Give me the baby, he repeated. The mountain man shook his head. She is safer here. The sheriff's voice dropped. You do not get to decide safety. The midwife stepped between them, unafraid. She is cold, she said. Scared. Hungry. The father did not even remember her name. The sheriff looked at her sharply. Did I ask you? No, she replied, but you needed to hear it. The sheriff looked back to the mountain man. You picked her up. You carried her off. Makes you look guilty. I saved her, the mountain man said. From freezing. From neglect. From a man too drunk to know she was breathing. The sheriff's jaw flexed. Law does not ask for your opinion. Law asks for obedience. The mountain man adjusted the newborn, who kept crying. You take her back to him and she dies, he said. Maybe not tonight. Maybe not tomorrow. But soon. The sheriff's gaze hardened. You speak like you know him. Everyone knows him, the mountain man said. Everyone knows his family too. The sheriff's stare turned cold. Careful, he said. Old families have long ears. The midwife crossed her arms. Old families also have short tempers when shame gets pointed at them. The sheriff ignored her and stepped closer to the mountain man. Last chance, he said quietly. Hand. Her. Over. The baby's cry rose again, thin and trembling. It filled the cabin like a warning. The mountain man didn't move. The sheriff exhaled slowly through his nose, disappointed. "Have it your way," he said. "But understand this. You are choosing trouble." The mountain man held the newborn tighter. "So be it." For a long moment, neither man spoke. The fire crackled. The shadows stirred. The sheriff looked at the baby one last time, his eyes flickering with something unreadable. Then he turned toward the door. "You just made this harder," he said. "For all of us." He stepped outside, leaving the air colder than before. The sheriff stepped forward before the door had even finished shutting behind him. His boots sank into the wooden floorboards with a slow, deliberate weight that made the entire cabin feel smaller. The mountain man held the newborn close, but the sheriff's presence pressed in like a wall. The sheriff's voice was steady. "Give her here." The mountain man shook his head once. "No," the sheriff took another step. "Do not make me take her." "You will not touch her," the mountain man said. The sheriff lifted his chin. "I will do what the law requires." The mountain man answered quietly, "The law does not hear her crying." As if she understood the moment, the newborn cried again, louder than before. A sharp, trembling sound that sliced straight through the room and made every shadow listen. The sheriff flinched. Only for a fraction of a second, but the mountain man saw it. The midwife saw it too. She crossed her arms. "Hear that," she said. "That is a child begging not to be dragged back into hell." The sheriff shot her a warning look. "Stay out of this." "I am already in it," she replied. "She is in my house." "Which means her fear is in my house too." The baby cried again, even louder. The sheriff's jaw tightened. He looked away for a moment, staring at the far wall as if something there unsettled him. The mountain man spoke softly. "She knows who is safe." The sheriff glared back at him. "Do not play wise with me." "Then listen," the mountain man said. "Just listen to her." The sheriff reached out a hand, slow but firm. "Enough. Give her over." The baby let out a long, shaking wail that filled the entire cabin. The sheriff froze. Something cracked in his expression. A memory, maybe. A wound no badge could hide. The midwife's eyes narrowed. "There it is," she whispered. "The past you pretend you buried." The sheriff's breath faltered. "Do not test me." "You are testing yourself," she said. "And failing." He turned back to the mountain man, voice quieter now. "You do not know what you are doing." "Keeping her alive," the mountain man replied. "That is enough for tonight." The sheriff shook his head, struggling with something he refused to name. "She belongs with her father." The mountain man stepped back a little. "He does not even know her name." The sheriff's silence answered for him. The baby cried again, and this time the sound shook something loose inside the sheriff. He closed his eyes for a breath too long. When he opened them, they were different. Not soft, but wounded. He whispered, "I had one too." The midwife's expression softened. "I know," she said. The sheriff swallowed. "She did not make it. Fever came quick. By the time I rode back from the ridge," his voice cracked. He stopped talking. The mountain man held the newborn steady, her tiny fists gripping his coat. "Then you know," he said. The sheriff blinked rapidly, as if clearing something from his vision. "Knowing changes nothing." The midwife shook her head. "Changes everything. This child is not a piece of property. She is a life." The sheriff rubbed his forehead, voice low. "The father has rights." "Rights end where danger begins," the midwife said. The sheriff opened his mouth to argue, but the baby cried a long, aching sound, and the words died in his throat. He stared at her, and for a moment his authority slipped like an old coat coming undone. His voice dropped to a whisper. The sun is coming soon. The mountain man nodded. Then let it come. The sheriff stepped back, shaken. Choose before it does, he whispered. Choose what kind of man you mean to be. He opened the door. Cold air swept inside, brushing over the newborn like a warning. The sheriff didn't look back as he walked into the fading night. Sunrise changes everything, he said softly, then disappeared into the dark. The baby's cry faded to a whimper, leaving the cabin heavy with a truth none of them could outrun. He grabbed his coat, wrapped the newborn tight against his chest, and pushed out the door before the midwife could stop him. The cold night hit hard, sharp enough to sting his eyes. Behind him the midwife called out, "You are a fool." He didn't slow. "Maybe," he said. "But staying makes me a dead one." The door shut behind him, sealing her words inside the cabin. The forest swallowed him fast. Trees loomed tall and silent, their black silhouettes twisting as he moved deeper. The newborn whimpered and he whispered, "Hush now. I know. I know it is dark. I know it is wrong out here." His boots kicked up soft dirt with each step. His eyes kept darting back toward the cabin. "They will come," he muttered. "Sheriff will bring men. We cannot be here when they do." The baby fussed and he rocked her as he walked. "You trust me," he whispered. "That is good. But I do not trust this place." A branch snapped somewhere behind him. He turned fast. Nothing. Only the thick stretch of trees and the faint memory of footsteps that could have been his or someone else's. He kept moving until the cabin light was gone. The woods thickened. "Easy now," he murmured to the newborn. "Almost to the ridge. We hide up high until morning." He felt her small fingers clutch his coat. "That is it," he said. "Hold on." A burned tree rose ahead, its bark blackened like an old scar. He slowed. "I know this place," he whispered. "Did not think I would see it again." Another burned tree stood beside it. Then another. A whole line of them. "Fire came through here," he said. Not long after, he cut himself off. The memory of flames rose behind his eyes, hot and merciless. The baby whimpered and he shook the thought away. "Not your fire," he told her. "Not your story." The wind shifted and he smelled smoke. Fresh. Not from old burns. He stiffened. "That is wrong," he whispered. "Real wrong." He moved toward a clearing, careful to keep the baby warm beneath his coat. As he stepped into open space, the moonlit ground revealed an old well, stones broken, rope long gone, the hole a mouth of darkness staring straight up at him. The sight made his breath catch. "Not again," he muttered. "Not this." The newborn stirred, sensing the tension. "I will not look," he whispered. "Not tonight." He skirted the well and pressed on. The forest seemed to listen. Every step echoed louder than it should. His past felt close, breathing down his neck. He whispered to the child, "I lost my girl near a fire like this." His throat tightened. Could not save her. Walls closed in. Smoke everywhere. "I tried. I swear I tried." The baby shifted softly, almost like she heard him. "I know," he said. "I know." We moved forward. The woods ahead glowed faintly orange. Not moonlight. Not lanterns. Flame. He stopped dead. "They lit the ridge," he whispered. "Trying to flush me out." He heard shouting in the distance. Men. Crackling branches. The sheriff's voice barking orders. "They are closing in," he muttered. "No path left but up." He adjusted the baby again. "Hold tight," he said. "We climb." He pushed forward, boots digging into the dirt. The slope rose steep fast. The baby made a soft, frightened sound and he kissed her forehead through the blanket. "You stay with me," he whispered. We survive this night. The fire glowed brighter now, flickering through the trees like a beast coming awake. He could feel its heat against his face. Move, he told himself. Move. He climbed higher, lungs burning. Images from the past flashed with every breath. Flames eating walls. Smoke blinding him. His daughter's small hand slipping from his reach. He stumbled hard, catching himself against a rock. Not again, he whispered fiercely. Not tonight. The newborn began to cry. He held her closer. I know you are scared, he said. I am too. Voices rose closer. Men shouting. Branches breaking. The forest lit brighter from the fire they carried with them. The sheriff yelled something he couldn't make out. They are trying to corner us, the mountain man said. That means they fear what I know. He climbed faster, heart pounding. His breath came in sharp cuts. Almost there, he whispered. Almost. The ridge finally appeared ahead, high and jagged against the fiery glow. He pushed toward it, almost slipping as loose dirt crumbled under his boots. He reached the top just as another shout echoed below. He turned and looked down the slope. Through the trees he saw them. Lanterns. Flames. Men closing in from both sides. The sheriff's voice carried through the crackling fire. Do not let him reach the ridge. The mountain man stepped back, clutching the newborn tightly. The firelight flared up behind him, lighting the sky red. The ridge glowed like a warning. They were surrounded. And the night was running out. The fire's glow pushed him hard toward the ridge, heat burning at his back as he scrambled over loose rock. The newborn's cries rose with every step. I know, he whispered breathlessly. I know it is hot. I know. He reached the top of the ridge and dropped to his knees, shielding her with his body. Below him, torchlight cut through the trees as the sheriff's men closed in. Their voices echoed against the stone. He is up there. Circle around. Do not let him slip past. He pressed the newborn closer. No more running, he murmured. Not with you shaking like this. His chest heaved as he looked out across the valley. The first hint of pale morning brushed the edge of the horizon. Almost sunrise, he whispered. Just hold on. Branches cracked behind him. He spun around. The sheriff stepped into view, alone, his coat lit orange by the fire crawling up the ridge. His gun stayed holstered, but his presence was heavy enough without it. You ran far, the sheriff said. The mountain man rose slowly. You lit the woods. You made me, the sheriff replied. You left me no choice. The newborn whimpered and the sheriff's eyes flicked to her. She should not be up here. Neither should you, the mountain man said. The sheriff took a step forward. Give her to me. Last chance. No yelling. No men rushing in. Just you and me. The mountain man's voice tightened. I cannot. Why? The sheriff asked. Tell me that. Because she needs someone who will not drop her when the world shakes, the mountain man answered. Someone who will not forget her name. The sheriff's jaw worked. Her father is a drunk, he said. Not a monster. Drunk can be deadly, the mountain man replied. You know that better than anyone. Do not speak about what you do not understand, the sheriff snapped. The mountain man's voice softened. You lost a child too. The sheriff flinched. Do not use that against me. I am not, the mountain man said quietly. I am saying you know what it means to fail a child. And what it means to wish for one more chance. The newborn began to cry again, thin and raw. The sheriff closed his eyes. For a moment, the fire behind him seemed to dim. I know you think you are doing good, he said. But this is not your responsibility. The mountain man shook his head. It became mine the moment I heard her cry. The sheriff stepped closer, but there was hesitation in his boots. You cannot just take someone's child. I did not take her, the mountain man said. I found her. The sheriff looked at him for a long moment, then at the baby trembling in his arms. Why are you holding her like that? He whispered. Like you know how. The mountain man swallowed. Because once, I had to learn. And once, I failed. The sheriff breathed out slowly. Your daughter. Yes, the mountain man said. The fire crackled behind them, spreading through dry brush. The sky lightened by a thin shade. Sunrise was minutes away. The sheriff rubbed his forehead. You ran because you thought I would drag her back. Would you not? The mountain man asked. The law is the law. The sheriff's voice was low. Even when it feels wrong. The baby let out a soft, broken sound. Not a cry. Just breath. The sheriff stared at her, the firelight reflecting in his eyes. Let me see her, he said. The mountain man hesitated, then turned slightly so the sheriff could look. The sheriff stepped close. The baby blinked up at him, tiny and exhausted. The sheriff's face shifted into something wounded and quiet. God help me, he whispered. She looks like mine did. The mountain man said nothing. The sheriff shook his head. I came here ready to arrest you. I know. But I cannot do it. Not seeing her like this. Not remembering what it felt like to fail. He stepped back, the fire crackling behind him. Sit down, he said. The mountain man frowned. Why? Because you cannot stand there shaking all morning, the sheriff replied. Sit. Hold her until the sun comes. Then we will talk. The mountain man sank to the dirt, legs weak. The newborn settled against his chest, finally quiet. The sheriff stood a few feet away, watching both of them as the sky grew lighter. The ridge warmed with the first breath of dawn. The sheriff spoke softly, almost to himself. Sunrise changes things, he said. Maybe this time it will change the right thing. The mountain man held the baby steady and whispered, we made it. Just breathe. Together they waited for the sun. Until sunrise. The newborn slept against his chest as the first thin rays of morning crept over the ridge. The mountain man barely breathed, afraid to disturb the fragile calm. The sheriff stood a few feet away, boots planted firm, coat still carrying the glow of the dying fire below. Neither man spoke at first. The world around them felt paused, waiting for something to take shape in the light. The sheriff finally cleared his throat. Long night. The mountain man nodded. Longest I have had in a while. The sheriff rubbed the back of his neck. You look worse than I expected. I feel worse, the mountain man said. But she is here. That is what matters. The sheriff studied him. You meant to run all the way out of the valley. I meant to keep her alive, the mountain man replied. Did not think past that. The sheriff sighed. Most trouble starts like that. One moment. One choice. Then 1,000 more. The mountain man adjusted the baby slightly, making sure the blanket stayed tight around her. Her breathing is steady, he whispered. That is good. The sheriff watched the small rise and fall of her chest. Something softened in his expression. You do hold her like a father, he said quietly. Old habit, the mountain man replied. Old wound. The sheriff crouched down, elbows resting on his knees. Tell me the truth, he said. All of it. The mountain man hesitated. About what? About why you cared so much, the sheriff said. Most men would have walked away. Most men do. The mountain man looked at the rising sun. I lost a daughter, he said. Small. Bright-eyed. Quick laugh. His voice thinned. Could not save her when the fire came. I tried. But I failed. The sheriff nodded slowly. I remember hearing about that. Folks said you left town for months. Could not stay, the mountain man said. Every door. Every tree. Every sound. It all carried her name. He looked down at the newborn. When I found this one, something in my chest cracked open. Could not ignore it. The sheriff lowered his eyes. I lost mine to fever. Quick and cruel. He swallowed. My wife never forgave me for not being there. I was out riding. Chasing a man who ran from a gambling debt. Came home and she was gone. His voice broke. He didn't hide it. I buried her myself. No one else would touch her. For a long moment, neither spoke. The sun climbed higher, pushing warm gold across the ridge. The sheriff brushed dust from his coat. We both know her father is not fit, he said. Not today. Not tomorrow. Maybe not ever. The mountain man nodded. So what happens now? The sheriff looked toward the valley. Old families will push. They will want the child returned. They will say blood is blood. The mountain man stiffened. Blood does not make a man decent. No, the sheriff agreed quietly. Actions do. He stood, stretching his stiff shoulders. I can delay them. By time. I can claim the child was too weak to travel. I can claim the midwife insisted on care. There are ways to bend rules without breaking them. The mountain man frowned. Why would you help? The sheriff looked at the newborn. Because I know what it is to lose what you cannot replace. And because I saw what that man did last night. He did not even know she was alive. The mountain man exhaled, shaking slightly. You are changing the law. No, the sheriff said. I am changing myself. The baby stirred, then settled. The mountain man whispered, You are safe now. I am right here. The sheriff nodded at the words. Keep saying that, he told him. She will need to hear it more than once. He took a few steps back, giving space. We walk down slow, he said. You carry her. I will handle the questions. The mountain man rose carefully, cradling the newborn as if holding the sunrise itself. Thank you, he said. The sheriff shook his head. Do not thank me yet. The day is just starting. He looked toward the trail leading back down. Come on. Let us see what truth the morning keeps. They walked down the ridge slowly, the newborn bundled against the mountain man's chest, the sheriff a step behind him. Morning settled over the land in a quiet haze, softening the wild edges that had felt so sharp in the night. The sheriff cleared his throat as they reached the bottom. Remember, he said, you stay quiet unless I tell you otherwise. The mountain man nodded. I can do that. Good, the sheriff replied. Because trouble listens early. The cabin came into view, its single window still glowing faintly from the midwife's fire. Smoke curled upward in a thin gray ribbon. The mountain man felt the baby shift against him. She is waking, he whispered. Better in there than out here, the sheriff said. He knocked on the door and the midwife opened it instantly, as if she had been standing right behind it. Well, she said, look who made it to sunrise. The sheriff stepped past her first. We need space, he said. And quiet. She snorted. Quiet left this house years ago, but I will try. The mountain man entered, holding the newborn steady. The midwife shut the door behind them. Give her here, she said, reaching out. The mountain man hesitated only a second before passing the child into her arms. The midwife wrapped her in fresh cloth and checked her breathing. Warm enough, she murmured. Heart steady. She made it through the night. The mountain man exhaled, relief loosening something deep inside him. Good, he whispered. That is good. The sheriff moved to the table and poured water from a jug. We are not done, he said. The father will wake soon. When he does, he will start shouting. Then the old families will start demanding. The midwife didn't look up. Let them demand. I have heard demands my whole life. This time it is different, the sheriff said. They will want the baby returned. The mountain man stepped forward. She cannot go back. The sheriff held up a hand. I know. I know what you saw. I know what he was. He glanced at the midwife. For now, she stays here. Under your care. You can claim she is too fragile to move. The midwife lifted her chin. Not a claim. A fact. The sheriff gave a tight nod. Then it starts here. The mountain man sank into the nearest chair, exhausted. His hands felt empty without the baby. The midwife noticed and placed a bowl of warm broth in front of him. Eat, she said. Your bones sound hollow from last night. He shook his head. Later. Now, she insisted. He took the bowl reluctantly and sipped. The sheriff leaned against the wall. You understand what comes next, he said. The mountain man set the bowl down. Tell me. Investigation, the sheriff said. Arguments. Noise. But I will bury enough to keep them busy while she grows stronger. The mountain man's eyes narrowed. And after? The sheriff shrugged. After depends on what kind of men we choose to be. The baby fussed and the midwife rocked her gently. She has a long road ahead, the midwife said. Every child does. But this one, she will need steady hearts around her. The mountain man swallowed. I can stay. I can help. The sheriff met his gaze. Not here. Not yet. They will come looking for you first. They will want someone to blame. The mountain man nodded slowly. Then I will keep my distance. But I will not disappear. The sheriff gave a quiet approving sound. Good. She will need someone waiting down the road. The midwife tied a tiny ribbon around the baby's wrist, soft blue and frayed at the edges. The mountain man watched. What is that for? Protection, she said simply. Or memory. Depends on who you ask. The baby's hand twitched and she let out a small sigh. The mountain man felt something settle inside him. Not peace. But direction. He stood and stepped toward the door. Morning poured in, bright and steady. The sheriff nodded once. The midwife said nothing. The baby slept. The mountain man lifted his coat collar and walked into the road, the light at his back, knowing he was no longer walking away from something. He was walking toward it.